Hello, my name is Danny Munguia, and I was born and raised here in Santa Ana. My family's from Central America, but I was around a lot of Mexican households. A lot of my friends were Mexican, and that is why when it comes to the word Chicano or Chicana, I believe Chicano is someone who is self-reliant, someone who has a can-do mentality, and who is willing to stand up for the community when it's being attacked in whatever shape or form. It's a long answer, but I'll be breaking it down in sections here. Um, Firstly, the first word that comes to mind when I think about the word Chicano is conflict. Um, and before I explain to you why conflict's the first word that comes to mind, I'll explain what the word Chicano used to mean. Chicano used to be a derogatory term used by Mexicans towards other Mexicans living in America. Mexicans viewed Chicanos as less than and no longer a real Mexican. And in America, Chicanos have been treated terribly throughout this country's history and even in today's America. For example, as I learned from one of the videos in the module uh, named Mexican Americans the Invincible Minority. During the 60s, Mexican Americans were cut out of the education system and suffered from economic exploitation, which is why they suffered from severe poverty during that time. Therefore, I believe the Chicano at that time was forced to rely on themselves and Chicanos around them. Which is why when I say conflict, I mean the conflict between oneself as a Chicano who was born and raised here in America. Especially when you take into account that neither side really wanted them. And the conflict between choosing between which culture they truly belong to and ultimately realizing that they are truly a mix of both. Which is why a lot of Chicanos usually don't ask for help and like to handle situations on their own. And from personal experience, I've noticed it a lot from Chicanos and even from my family as well. And there's a video from one of the modules. I think a video or two of Cheech's reasoning as to why he considers himself Chicano rather than Latino or Hispanic. Here's the quote: "When I first heard Chicano, was my uncle who was a policeman, and my dad was a policeman too. Some guy wanted to charge him $200 to fix his car. He said, 200 bucks, give me a piece of tinfoil and and a pair of pliers. I'll fix it. I'm a Chicano mechanic." And that really resonated with him because he also had that conflict within him of saying, well, I'm not Mexican because I wasn't born there, but I'm not American because I'm not white, I'm not Caucasian. Um, so Chicano really resonated with him because it gave him that mentality of of being able to rely on themselves, and which is why a lot of them are very family oriented and taught to have each other's back. Because, like I said earlier, no one else will come to help them, and you could clearly see that in the videos, and you could just take a look at your family or community. That's just how Chicanos are built, especially if your family are immigrants trying to survive in a country that isn't very welcoming at times. And now to address my second part of my answer. Um, as a Chicano, you also have history in this country that I earlier mentioned of Chicanos being treated as second class citizens. Within that history, there have been heroes from Juan Cortina to Cesar Chavez, a history of men and women standing up against the mistreatment. Which is why I also believe Chicano is someone who stands up for their community. And from what I learned from the text and the videos, is that during the 1960s, which was a turbulent era of civil rights movements, and now during that time, there were two very important figures in the Chicano community, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. And their goal during this time was to secure better working conditions, better wages, and the right to unionize for farm workers. They did this by protesting peacefully, by going on strikes and marches. Now, at that time, when a lot of young university students joined the cause, the word Chicano was rebranded. As I mentioned earlier, it was a derogatory term, and it was rebranded as a point of pride and saying up unapologetically, hey, this is who we are. And I believe, the fact that the part of the word's origin is being rebranded by Mexican Americans, young Mexican Americans, that went out and mobilized and organized and marched the streets in order to be treated right with dignity, like every other American, means a lot. It means a Chicano isn't supposed to sit and watch as this country disrespects and threatens their community, but to stand up for other Chicanos today and subsequently bringing a better America for future Chicanos like the Cesar Chavez's of the world. And that's what I believe Chicano is. Thank you.